Good morning. Is everything on? Good. Sorry, I thought the lamp wasn't on there for a second. Good morning. Welcome. My name is Angela. Welcome to the channel. Uh, I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm all like flustered now because I had this random thought. Welcome. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we practice vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. How's it going? Right now, we are just in the beginning of what I'm calling the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. And today is, oh, it's Friday, April 3rd. So today is day 3. And I could not be more excited or happy that I decided to start this project. I'm still a little bit nervous. Excuse me. I'm still a little bit nervous about some of the more complex things I've decided that I'm going to do. But for the most part, we're off to a great start. I couldn't be happier with what we did. So there's that. So if you're here for the JavaScript, you are in the right place. Do me a favor if you're new here. Go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm generally here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. But of course, for the month of April, I will be here every single stinking day working on JavaScript and having a blast. Nana Okia is here. Welcome, my friend. So happy you're here. Happy to have you. Yeah, let me tell you about where we're at and what we're going to work on today because it's pretty exciting. So last night I was doing some work. Well, first of all, let me give you the URL. I have this friend, Fred, who always says URL. Here's the URL, 30 days of vanillajavascript.com. Oh, and Dante is also here. Hello, welcome. Last night I did some learning. It was very exciting. So let me tell you what I learned about MDN JavaScript type module. Yeah. So here's why I was doing this last night. Let me just flip back over to the site. I do want to have a component page right here, UI components, where every single element that we build is just displayed in one spot. And I was like, okay, but if I do that, I don't want to have to put 30 script tags on the page. And I know that you can import modules into one JavaScript file. I just had never quite mastered that, or maybe I've done it in the past and I've just Googled it really quick and got it figured out, but I didn't really understand the process of modules. I'm also, I'm just going to be fully transparent here and tell you I'm relatively new to the whole idea of, and actually we have to change this. We have to type equals module. I'm new to the whole. It is only very recently that I even started putting my script tags in the head using the defer attribute. My entire career, I've put script tags right before the closing body tag on the page. And I know that that's not the modern way to do it. I know now that defer is really the best way to do it. ChatGPT has been trying to convince me for over a year that I don't need an event listener DOM content loaded if I'm using the defer tag. And I did look into that a little bit further, and I don't think that that's exactly true. I think that defer and DOM content loaded are very similar, but they do different things. And forgive me, I didn't read up on that before the stream started, so I can't fully articulate that thought. But I recall at the time looking into that, doing some reading, and I do both. I put the defer tag on my script, and I also use document add event listener DOM content loaded. So then I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this components file in order to load my components page, surely we don't want DOM content loaded on every component. We don't want DOM content loaded 30 times for one page. And turns out I was right. I did get some help from ChatGPT on this. ChatGPT said, yeah, actually, what you do is you do a script with a type module, because type module will all automatically wait until the DOM has loaded before it starts loading. So you don't have to have DOM content loaded on every single component, because it's a module. And then you can, of course, we don't have to duplicate, right? We don't have to duplicate. I absolutely am not going to maintain 2 sets of JavaScript in 2 files. So now we can make a component JavaScript file for the specific page we're building, and then we can have our components page where we import everything all at once. And it was just a big learning moment, and I have to tell you that this is this is exactly what I needed to have happen. It's not that I needed to learn JavaScript or get better at counting or get better at clicking buttons and adding classes to things. I mean, I do want to get better at those things. But learning JavaScript is not just about doing those things. It's about understanding when things are firing. And forgive me, I don't have that mastered, but I'm getting there. I'm starting to develop a much better understanding. Learning JavaScript is also now about how do I organize my files? How am I going to be efficient, right? So it was really cool yesterday to get this information, sort of take this information in, and then be able to apply that to this project in a way that's really efficient. It does what I envisioned. We're not duplicating code. We're not firing off a bunch of DOM content loaded event listeners when that's absolutely not necessary. Developing a deeper understanding of, where is it here? Developing a deeper understanding of defer versus type module. So yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. So I did get everything organized a little bit better, where before I was putting the JS files in each individual folder. Now I have a components folder. I've named each of the components. And then we have sort of this components.js where we're loading all of these so we can have the components page. So there's that. So I'm kind of excited. About it. Yeah, so that's what I did yesterday. I also learned a little bit about scoping. So, and this is definitely, scoping is for sure not new to me. I didn't do it here because I wanted this code to remain true to what we actually did in the last 2 streams. So the 2 things though that did change are that instead of an event listener for DOM content loaded, we wrapped everything in a function, and then ChatGPT called these guarding these elements. And I've heard that referred to that before. What I would like to do moving forward, and what we're going to do today, is we're going to do some scoping that is we're going to scope to the component specifically. And that is not a new concept for me. I worked at my last job, we had a proprietary content management system that was built off of a templating. It was built off of Velocity templating, velocityapache.org. So it's a little obscure. I don't know how many people have heard of Velocity. Open source. I know how to do the scoping because I did it for 7 years. So this is also a good reminder to me that when it comes to, I'm going to use the word object-oriented programming as just an umbrella term. When it comes to object-oriented programming, I feel like programming languages are generally the same. They do a lot of the same things. Again, I'm broad strokes. My point is that once you understand a concept in one programming language, those skills should be transferable to another programming language. So seeing ChatGPT explain to me how to do component scoping in vanilla JavaScript, I was like, oh my God, I understand that. Like that absolutely makes sense to me because we did that in Velocity all the time in the content management system that we previously used to work in. So again, I didn't want to change the code that we wrote the last 2 days. I made the update to make sure that this new structure can be supported just by wrapping this in a function instead and guarding these elements. But moving forward, we're going to do that component scoping starting today. I'm pretty excited about it. So this is the stuff. It's the structural things, the structural, organizational, understanding how to be efficient type things. These are the things that make me feel confident in JavaScript. So yeah, I had a moment last night. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So there's that. Okay. And Dante says, I came to check in. I can't stay long. We'll catch the replay later. No problem. No problem. Well, thank you for checking in. Enjoy your day and enjoy the replay. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So I hope it's going to be amazing. We'll see. So listen, we're having a great time so far. So, okay, so let's get started, shall we? We don't need this. We don't need this. Well, so when we're done and we do the deployment, we are also going to add, at the end of every day when we do our deployment to 30 days of vanilla javascript.com, we are also going to add our newest component to that page. So that's the plan. Which page is this? This is day 3 right here. So we need this page. We don't need this. And we have our styles. Okay. Okay. So today we are working on the FAQ accordion. This is one of the elements that I got styled ahead of time. And like I said, I stopped styling after the tabs component because I realized that some of the markup decisions that I was making were important enough to wait and hold off on. I also think we have enough styles on this site that we can, moving forward, do the styles that we need to relatively easily and quickly. I mean, knock on wood. Anything could happen with me, right? So here's our strategy. Let's look in the dev tools. My philosophy around these types of interactive elements is that if you can do it with CSS, you absolutely should be doing it with CSS. So right here, what do we have on the first item? We have an active class. I'm going to take that off because obviously we're going to have JavaScript do the work, but this is just here for styling and illustrative purposes. So one of the JavaScript focus items here is hidden attribute or max height class strategy. And I used the max height class strategy. So let's look at this. So if we are doing a click event, I'll make this a little bigger. If we are doing a click event, here's our H3, that's the heading. And then inside the H3 is our button. So the click event will be on the button. When we click the button, we are going to add the active class to the parent accordion item container. When we add the active class, we're going to let the CSS do all the work. So here's our panel right here. You can see it right here. So we can go right here in the DOM. I'm just going to double click that and delete it, enter, and there's our animation. So I'm going to Command Z to put it back in. And there's our animation. Now, I will say this, the max height strategy for animating the panels, it's not the smoothest. but in my opinion, it's acceptable. And when you think about how you really cannot animate, you really cannot, well, not really, you cannot animate height. That just doesn't work. So you have to use this max height strategy in order to get that to work. In my opinion, it is an excellent trade-off. What's the other thing that we're doing here? Visibility. So when we take the active item off, this also has, where's our panel? This is also visibility hidden. So we're transitioning two things, and thank God that you can transition visibility. That is, if I had to be grateful for any one thing, it would be that you can transition visibility. If it wasn't for that, no animations would work and be accessible. I'm going to say that again. If it wasn't for the ability to transition visibility, animations would not be possible on elements that are both accessible and animated. I cannot emphasize that enough. So let's just take out that active class so we can do a little demo here in terms of the accessibility. So what's the point of having a button? It's an interactive element. It's something that the user should interact with. If all of these things are buttons, the user decides that they are going to interact with the button. Click, hover, if it's focus, they hit return, whatever. The user decides if they're going to open the panel. So if the panel is closed, the focus cannot go into the panel. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So let's do this with our keyboard focus. So if we go ahead and I'm going to tab, we've got skip to content. So let's just go past that. Okay, so now we're in all of our items here, our nav items, and there's like 31. That's why we have the skip to content. So I'm going to hit enter. Now we're in the content and we've skipped past all that navigation. Again, we give the user the choice. Do not force your users to go through 31 nav items if they would prefer to go directly to the content. Because what do we all get to do? We all get to go directly to the content because our eyeballs, we have control over our eyeballs. We have to give the keyboard users and the screen reader users the same options, right? Okay, so we skipped the content. Now we're inside the content. Links and buttons are the things that naturally get focus in the browser. So I'm going to tab through these initial links, and now we're tabbing through these buttons. Excellent. So here's what else I did. Here's the real test. Links also get focus by default. So when this panel is open, and I'm just going to click up here inside this content area to give this focus again. We'll tab, 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 tab. Now we're tabbing into the panel, which means, it's mostly for illustrative purposes. So if the panel is visibility hidden, the nothing in the panel will get focus because it's hidden from screen readers, it's hidden from the keyboard, and that's what we want. We want the user to have the choice to open the button. If they click the button, the panel opens, and then the screen reader, or if there's anything to focus on, then we enter into the panel. If it's not, then we go right past. So now we're in the panel. And all of these panels have links. They all have something that is focusable, but because the panel is visibility hidden, we skip right past it. And that is exactly the behavior that we want. So I'm feeling really pleased with myself that after years of struggling with accordions and tabs, I understand the behavior. I think that there's also a school of thought on, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. Well, should I? No, I'm not. Let's just read through what some of our bullet points are here. So looping through the buttons. So we're going to for each through each of the buttons. Toggling classes. We're going to put the active class on the accordion item parent container. Aria-expanded. So we are going to, right here, we've got this aria-expanded attribute on the button. So we're going to update that attribute. And then we've got the hidden attribute or the max height class strategy. So interesting here that they say or. So let's MDN and look at hidden, which I have linked down here. Okay, so the nice extras, only one panel open at a time, which means that, so I have an idea of how to do this, which means that as we loop through each button and we do the click event, before we add any class to the thing that we're clicking, we have to make sure that we're removing classes from everything first. And I've done that before, so I have an idea of how to do that. Keyboard support. So I think that I've just demonstrated what the keyboard support is, but obviously once we get this wired up and we're tabbing through, we'll be able to hit enter and go in and out of panels, and we should be appropriately skipping panels if they are visibility hidden. Smooth open and close animation with CSS classes. We've already established that, so we've already done that work. Okay, so I know how to for each. I know how to class list toggle. So interesting, it wants us to do a toggle. Okay, I was thinking more add and remove, but I guess toggle makes sense. Yeah, no, you would toggle. We just want to make sure that if something is open and I come down here and click on this, we are removing this first before we toggle this, right? Yeah. We need to get the attribute. Do we though? Do we though? Why do we need to get the attribute? So I think it's talking about aria controls and accordion panel. So I don't think we need to get the I don't think we need to get the attribute, because if the active class is on the parent container, oh, but how do we make okay, I don't think we need to get the attribute. I understand what they're getting at here with the ID accordion 1 and panel 1. I think that it's thinking that we need to match the button up with the panel, and I don't think we need to. But I'm not sure yet, but I don't think we need to, because I think if you put an active class on the parent, why do you need to match up the button with the panel to open it or to animate it? I mean, probably because different people have different approaches and strategies to things, right? Yeah, I don't know. Set attribute, I know how to do that. Hidden. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here what I want to read a little bit about this and see if this has more value than visibility hidden. So the hidden property reflects the value of the element's hidden attribute. True, the element is hidden. False, the element is not hidden. Until found, the element is hidden until found, meaning that it is hidden but will be revealed if found through in-page search or reach through fragment navigation. Here's an example where a hidden block is used to contain a thank you message that is displayed after a user agrees to an unusual request. Okay. Okay, the JavaScript adds an event listener to the OK button, which hides the welcome panel and shows the awesome panel. Okay, so this is the welcome, that's the awesome, okay. Oh, okay, so you're just changing. That would not be my approach. But again, so maybe this is one of the benefits of being somebody who's so deeply entrenched in vanilla CSS, especially that I do so much with vanilla CSS, or that I have managed to find so many solutions with CSS that I would not probably do something like this with JavaScript. But they presented it as an option. But again, they said hidden attribute or max height class strategy. So if you were using the hidden attribute though, I don't know how you would animate that for a smooth open close, which is maybe why it was put in the extras category. Because in order to animate something with CSS, you have to be using a property that can be transitioned. And of course, not every property like height can be transitioned. Max height can be transitioned. So that's why I feel like or is especially important here. So I don't think I'm going to be using the hidden attribute. And I don't think I'm going to be using get attribute. So, okay. Malik is here. Go Elmo. Late but here. Had yard work to do. What's the temperature in Florida? Because it is really, really cold in Minnesota. We are firmly back in winter coat territory. It's dark and dreary. It's windy. It's raining. I'm not a fan. The Clash of Clans legend is here. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you. All right. Are we ready? Do I have? Yes. So let's go ahead. There we go. Okay. So we're going to do a function and we'll init accordion. And what is our outermost parent right here? It's just a div with a class of accordion. So that's going to be our root element. So I'm going to say const root equals, document query selector. Accordion. And then we can check to see if root exists. That's like our guard statement. So now we're going to scope everything just to this element, just to this parent container. So next we need the accordion item. So we'll say accordion item. Let me see here. I'm just going to call it an item. And we're scoping right to the root. Query selector. Hopefully this works. ChatGPT told me it would. So I didn't actually test it because I didn't change the other two files. So we're going to find out today if it really does work. I think it will. It makes sense to me at least. Okay, so this is the accordion item. What else do we have here? We need our button, which is the accordion trigger. All right. And then we need our panel. accordion panel. All right. What do we need? Anything else? I don't think we need anything else. We're going to for each through each of the buttons. We're going to class list add to the accordion item. We're going to set the attribute of the button, right? I mean, I don't even think that we need to define the panel. We're not going to do anything with the panel because we're putting the active class up here, and that's going to take care of everything, right? Yeah, so I don't even think we're going to need the panel. So I'm going to comment it out just for now. Okay, so now we are going to, oh, I guess we need all of our accordion items, don't we? So we actually need, this should be query selector all. Items. Do we need our, I think our trigger can just be, no, we're gonna, there's more than one button, so I think we have to query selector these all as well, triggers, right? So we're going to for each, well, this would actually be defined inside the for each. Items, for each item. And then it would be item, or it would be const trigger equals the item query selector accordion trigger, right? And then it would be item add event listener click. I know there's going to be more to do here, but we're just going to do it baby steps, right? Oh no, it would be the trigger has the event listener, the button. So let's just make sure that we can actually put the, so it would be item. The item is the accordion item. Item, class list, toggle, active. Is that going to work? I don't think we need either of these. I don't know. Seems like it should work, right? Okay, let's try it. No. Did I... Do I have this linked correctly in here? Oh, wait a second. Components, accordion.js. Let's make sure it's actually loading on the page. Okay, it's loading. Oh, we didn't... Oh, I love an easy mistake. Okay, now let's try it. Okay, so far so good. So far so good. It's not super smooth, is it? We could, I think it's not smooth because we set the max height to 1000 pixels, which is really tall. I'm wondering if we set the max height to something a little shorter, if it's a little smoother. But this is working. This is working. There's a couple more things to do. So I just want to see this class get added. There we go. So now we need to make sure that we only have one open at a time. And also, there is no right or wrong way to decide that your accordion there. It's not. I've had both requests. I've had people say, please make sure that only one accordion is open at a time. And I've had people say, please make sure that anybody, you can have as many accordions open as you want. So what I feel like at St. Thomas, people used to ask me to make sure, they would say, make sure that the first item is open on page load, but let people have as many open as they want. So not one at a time, as many as you want. So these instructions say one at a time, so we'll do that. But let's make sure that the first one is always open on page load. So that would really happen outside of the event listener, right? So we would want to do this. I mean, I think we would want to just do this right. We could literally put this right here. Right inside, well, right inside the for each. So it would be item. Do we just do that? Do we just say the first one? Or would it just be items? I feel like we could just do the first one, but I don't. No. So I actually think we would just do this. Items. This is how I'm going to do it, at least. Just make sure. Oh, excuse me. Hold please, one moment. There could definitely be a better way to do this. That's the way I'm going to do it. I don't know. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. You tell me. Is there a more efficient way to do that? Okay. So I want the first one open on page load. And then when we trigger, I think we need to do another for each. So I feel like we need to get all of the buttons. I feel like now we need to for each, well, is it the buttons or the items? We're already for, I feel like we just do, or maybe we just do item, class list, remove, but that's going to be on the current one. So maybe we just do it right here. Item, class list, remove, active. So as we're for each through, but you wouldn't want to do that immediately. You would want to do that after the event listener, right? So we need to loop through all of the items again on click. So do you loop through the items or do you loop through the buttons? Or can you just do this first? But this is just doing it to that button, which makes me feel like you have to go through all the items first. So I feel like I have to get all of the triggers. No, do I have to get all of the items? Hang on, I have to think about this. Okay, and I actually kind of feel like this would be better as like a separate function that we would just put inside of here, right? So maybe we would, because I want to go through all the items again. So items for each item. For each item. And then I just want to remove the active class. I want to remove class list at remove. So we're going through each item again, and I'm just going to call remove, I'm just going to call it remove active. I don't know if I'm item, query selector, the accordion item, remove active, class list, remove active. Then I would put this in a function remove active, and that's, I know I have to change the name of the other thing. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to say remove. And I want to just take this and put it right here. I don't know, it makes sense to me. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's refresh the page. So we know that the first item is always going to be active. Okay. Cannot read properties of null reading class list. You don't like that. Remove. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. Item, query selector. Cannot read properties of null. We're so close. Null. Null. Remove is null. Items for each item. Oh, it's because, yeah. This item is already the accordion item. That's why. Okay. I've done this before. Hang on. I know I'm so close. Don't tell me. Emily says, we're in the high 80s. I would give my eye tooth for the high 80s. I would give my eye tooth for the high 70s. Enjoy it. Terry Murray is here. Hello, welcome. Happy to have you. I feel like I need to loop through the buttons. But that doesn't make sense either. Really, I just want to get the accordion. If we're already looping through the items, yeah, I think if we're already looping through each of the items, when we click the button, the item where did I do this before? I feel like, okay, so hang on. We're gonna look in my GitHub because I swear I did this recently. Yeah, I swear I did this recently. And by recently, it could have been a month ago or a year ago. I don't know. I lose track of time a little bit. Where did, we did it on we removed the class when we did the navigation on the Colorado right here. Right here. So let's just go look at this so we can demo it. This is what I mean. If you don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time. So, good morning. Good morning, Caffeine Cowboy. Are you missing a dot in front of accordion item? Yeah, could it be that easy? Yeah, it definitely could. Okay, let's see if that was that. I mean, could that be the fix? So we were missing a dot. It's still not working. But good catch. So item is already the accordion item. That's why I think this isn't working. So if we... Don't tell me. Don't tell me. So the parent container is the accordion item. Hang on. I just want to look at this. Okay. So in this subnet menu navigation, when we click to open a panel, and then we open another panel, this panel automatically closes. So I was right. We did this recently. So let's see here where we did this. So submenus for each button. So this is, yeah, but this is doing it directly on the button. Terry Murray says, should you return once you have removed the class? So the problem is right now is I can't even define anything to remove a class. So I can't even console log remove this right here because this value is null. I don't even have the correct value yet. So, and I can't remove anything. So I have to have the value first, and I have to be able to remove it on click. So I don't think I should need to return after removing it, because it has to go through every single thing and remove it from everywhere if there's more than one, right? This works here, looping through, or this works right here, looping through the buttons because the active class is on the button. That's why this works. Only one submenu open at a time. Submenu buttons. Submenu get element by ID. The submenu buttons, document query selector all. Okay. So what else can I use besides accordion item? Yeah. And then right here, you close all the buttons before the toggle. So I just have to loop through each item. And then when I click a button, I'm removing classes before the next class is applied to the thing I just clicked. So this builds the array with this. Main nav button aria controls. And then submenu buttons for each button. If the button equals the exception button, return. Okay. Yeah, we have to wait for this. So do we need to use something like closest? Closest. The closest method. The closest method of the element interface traverses the element and its parents, heading toward the document root until it finds a node that matches the specified CSS selector. I think closest is what I want to use because I want to I want to for each through the buttons, and then when I click on a button, I want to get the closest accordion item and remove the active class. That's what I think I want to do. I think I have a different strategy than what ChatGPT thought I was going to use, because I'm putting an active class on the item parent. And I feel like it clearly thought that I was going to match up a button with a panel and probably add like active to the button and active to the panel. And that's not what I'm doing. I could do that, which is probably why it told me to make sure I understood get attribute. I mean, I could do that. I don't want to. I already wrote CSS for what I'm doing. But did I create more work for myself? So I'm gonna do it the way I want to. So here we go. So triggers equals root query select. We're here to learn, right? We're here to learn. Accordion triggers. I'm just gonna comment this out. So when we click on a button, I want to loop through all the buttons. Triggers for each. I'm going to say TR. I'm just going to say button, BTN. And then I'm going to say button is the button the closest ancestor with the ID of. So we just get the element closest. Button closest Yep, so they do already have data type IDs. I'm trying my own method. I'm trying my own way of doing it. And if it fails, then I will go to the data types. Button closest. I feel like we could just say button closest item. And then I'm going to console log the button and see if, I don't know, see if this works. Nothing happened. But also nothing broke, so. Maybe that's not something you can console log. accordion item. Just put in the class. Okay. I mean, maybe we have to do both. Maybe you have to go through each of the items first. I kind of want to use this closest though. Maybe we could just do closest. I just want to see this work. Maybe we don't have to but I don't, that's only on the thing that you click. You're only removing it on the thing that you click. And when we click a button, we have to look at every single button. Actually, I just want to go through all the items again. When we click a button, so we're going through all the items, and then we're clicking a specific button, and then I want to go through all of the items again. That's really what I want to do. I just want to go through all of the items again. And then for each, I'm just going to say ITM. Now I'm going to say remove ITM. Can't I just do ITM class list remove active? Can't I just do that? That worked. Right here. Big brain. Okay, let's actually see these things happening. So the first thing is so I'm going to click the last one. This is what I wanted. I knew I could do it. I just had to believe in myself. Okay, so I'm going to click the last one. That's it. That's what I wanted. Okay, cool. I knew I could do it. So on page load, the first item in the array, the items array, we can delete this. Look how simple this is. This JavaScript is. Feeling quite pleased with myself right now. Okay, so the first item in the array automatically gets the active class because I want the first thing to be open on page load. And then we're looping through each item, defining the button. When we click the button, we loop through each item again, and we make sure, and we just check to see if any of these items have an active class, we remove them. And yeah, we could probably return early. Can you put a return? Is that how you do that? I feel like, why do I think that returns inside of a for each aren't allowed? But also, just in case there were multiple active classes, let's see here. I mean, theoretically, there should only be one, right? So I don't know if we need this or not. There aren't that many items. So I mean, I'm inclined to take it out because what if there were multiple active classes? I wanted to check each item and remove them. And then after they've been removed, the thing that got clicked gets the active class. That's it. That's my solution. What do we think? What do we think? What else do we have to do here? So let's make sure that we have the appropriate keyboard support. So we'll go ahead and tab. I'm going to skip to the content, tab through our links. And if I click this, oop, nothing's happening. I should be able to close it. So I'm not able to toggle. If I hit enter, I'm not able to toggle. I can open. I can't close. That's interesting. Okay, so we have a little more investigating to do here. So I think we have to check. Do we have to check and see? Oh, when I click on this, I can't close this either. So it's not just the keyboard. So why, what's the point of toggle if when you click on it? We also have to set our attribute. Is this screwing up our toggle? Yes, that is screwing up our toggle. So do we need the return? I don't know. We could always just do we just want to maybe check and see if something contains an active class? So maybe we want to do something like if item class list contains active, then remove active. No, we still can't toggle. Run it first, maybe. This. Oh. can't, that doesn't work. So let me think about this for a second, because I feel like I've done this before too. Well, actually, we need to make sure that we do something like this. Is active const, because we still have to set our attribute. So const is active is equal to this, the toggle. And then we'll figure this out for sure. We're going to figure this out. So let's just comment this out for now. We'll get things in the right order. Well, and also, do we want this to be inside the for each? How much you want to bet that should not be inside the for each? Yeah. Oh, run before the loop. I'm running after the loop. Okay, run before the loop. But won't it remove all active classes? Let's try it. Yeah, it's not letting me, because the remove is running after. So I think it's supposed to be after. We want to remove all of these first. And then add active to the thing we're toggling on. Or toggle active. But that also doesn't work. We're so close. Baby steps. We're so close. Let's at least start updating our attribute while we're thinking. And then we'll say if is active. We want the trigger set attribute aria-expanded to true. But also we need to do this. We also need to do this on our first item. So we're going to want to do this. Is that allowed? Can I do that? Items, trigger. No, that's not allowed. It has no idea what that is. Well, let's just get all of them. So we're making sure that the first accordion is open and aria expanded equals true. And we'll make sure that this is trigger set attribute aria expanded. So let's at least test this. I mean, maybe we just instead of doing, no, we have to loop through everything again. Because if it's just item classless remove active, then it's only going to be the item. It's not even going to know what the item is, because trigger is inside of item. Just test it like this. So the first item is active, aria expanded is true. Second item is active, aria expanded is true. Took it off. Because we want to check these items when we're clicking the button. So what's really happening here? We're looping through each item, and then we click a button, and then we loop through each item again. And we loop through each item again before we toggle. And we make sure that we're removing all of the active classes. Once we remove the active classes, I mean, maybe we can't toggle. Maybe we have to add and remove. But I don't think that's right. Because we're removing here, and we're still able to toggle immediately after it. I feel like I'm pretty close. So let's see if I have to make this just a tiny bit smaller. Okay. So page load. Can I toggle the first one? No, I can't. Is it because I think it's because I'm trying to remove. I think toggle isn't going to work with this because you can't remove everything and then still have a toggle. That defeats the purpose. So I think in order to do this, you have to add and remove. I don't think you can I think you could remove everything if you were toggling something else, which is what I was doing. That's what I think. So what was your thought process to adding the active class to the first item in JavaScript rather than hard coding it in the HTML, if I'm reading it correctly? My thought process was to just use JavaScript since it's a JavaScript exercise. Literally, that was my thought process, was to just do it through the JavaScript. I can tell you that if this content was being added dynamically, like with an API, you would have to do it in the JavaScript, right? So normally in my builds, I would absolutely just add it to the markup. And that's what we did for styling. But if these accordion items were coming from an API, you would have to, if the accordion items were coming from an API, you would have to do it in the JavaScript. So that was my only thought process. This is interesting. Why not toggle this as well? Yeah, actually. Because yeah. This right here, this could be it. Let's try this. I feel pretty good about this. Let's see what happens. No. So here's what I think is happening. I don't think we can remove the active classes from the same thing that we're trying to toggle. That's what I think is happening. So I think we need to adjust this here. I don't think we can toggle. That's what I'm going to go with. So is active is going to be equal to contains, because that's a Boolean. Yeah, it would. Nano Akia is saying would be nice for an expand or close all. We're gosh darn close here. So we're just gonna add a couple things here. Be easy peasy. This is what I'm gonna do. So is active item classless contains active? Well, it's not going to contain an active though, is it? Well, yeah, it will contain an active once we click on it. So we have to remove the actives first. And then we're going to immediately add an active. I don't know, I feel pretty hopeful about this. Let's see what happens. Nope. Because it's automatically just removing things. So now I think well, nothing's going to contain an active if I just removed active. Yeah, nothing's going to contain active if I just removed it. So let's do some pseudocode here. On click remove any active class. Then add the active class to the thing clicked. Let's start with this. We still have to change the attribute, but let's just start with this. Because why do we need to toggle if we're removing? So we're removing all of the active classes first. Let's just see that. I just want to see that in motion, or that in action. By the way, I'm enjoying this. I'm having a good time right now, okay? So we're good. I'm good. So if I click this, I am removing the active class. There's nothing to remove. So how do I say remove the active class from everything except the thing I just clicked? When, but only do this on the thing I just clicked. I really thought that if you did this first, this would just happen first and the next thing would happen. That's what I naively thought was going to take place. So on click, remove any active class. Then add an active class to the thing clicked. So what if we just do this? Oh, it can't, it's doing it right here. It's removing it and then it's adding it. I'm removing it and then I'm adding it. So this literally is working correctly. So now if I click this, it removed that one and it added this one. And now it's doing it again. It's removing it and it's adding it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. So I think I have to say that. So what's the toggle? If it contains active, then remove active. So if it's active, if it contains it, so I'm going to say const item active is equal to the item class list contains active. So that's our Boolean value. If the item is active, item class list remove active. Else so on click remove any active class. We know that that's working. Then we have to check and see, okay, the thing we just clicked, if it contains active, remove active. Otherwise, add active. I know that sounds like the toggle should work, but it's not. This still isn't working either. So I think I literally just built the long form of a toggle. I think we have to do this again. The toggle doesn't work because of this. So I just have to get it in the right place. I just have to put it in the right place. But this has to run when I click. Because we don't want to do anything before we click, otherwise the click is pointless. I can't do it afterwards, because if I add something, I don't want to immediately remove it. And I guess this is pointless because if we just removed everything, that nothing's going to be active. So this is pointless. So why would we check this and then remove something? That doesn't make sense either. So if we're removing something, we're removing everything. This makes me think that we just want to check and see. This makes me, so if we're checking to see that it is, maybe we just don't want to remove it from the thing that's already active. So maybe this is where we need to check and see if something's active. So maybe we need to do the check here first, and then we can toggle. So if something contains active, that's basically the toggle. Didn't we try that though? We tried toggling here also. Like toggle here and toggle there. We tried that, right? I thought we did. Like we can't just like toggle in opposite directions. Did we try this? Like we would be toggling in opposite directions, right? Oh, we did try. I recall this. I recall this behavior. I feel like though we would just want to remove anything that wasn't being clicked, but that doesn't make sense because toggling is removing the thing that's being clicked. I'm on day 3 and I'm gonna have to ask for help from ChatGPT. Is that what you're telling me? Okay, I'm just gonna Google it. Let's just Google. So how to remove a class from everything else, then add a class to the thing I just clicked in JavaScript. I guarantee I'm not the first person to ask this question. Okay. To achieve this in vanilla JavaScript, you can use query selector all to select all elements in a group, then loop through them to remove the class before adding it to the clicked element. Elements for each item, add event listener, click. Okay. So I think that we know how to do this. Maybe I need to how to remove a class from everything else, then toggle a class. Toggle a class on the thing I just clicked. That's the question. Okay. So items for each item, add event listener, click. Const is active. We're so close. If this class contains active, oh, we have to do this before we run that loop. If is active, check if the clicked item already has the class. items for each. Remove the class from every item in the group. If the clicked item wasn't active before, add the class now. This creates the toggle effect across the group. We were very close. We were very close. Okay. So here's the event listener, and here's the check for is active. Get this cleaned up here. I'm just going to say is active. This is the item class list contains active. And then items for each class list remove active. Check for an active class. On click, remove any active class. Remove. And then if is active, class list add active. If is not active, if is not active, stop. Is add the active class if it's not already there. Okay, so let's see if this works, and then we can get our attributes in. All right, can we toggle? We can. That was it. So we just had things a little out of order, right? We just had it a little out of order. We were so close. We were so close. It's totally okay to ask for help. Nothing wrong with asking for help. Okay, this is still relatively straightforward, I think. So, and honestly, I love solving these types of problems. I love it because it just adds clarity about the order of things in which it needs to happen. So, okay, so we are initially, let's close a couple things here, and then we'll get everything deployed. Whoops. Okay. So we have everything scoped to the parent container accordion. Yay. We have an array for, well, we don't need this array, do we? So we have an array out of our each accordion item. We are adding the active class and aria-expanded true to the first item. So now we have to get our attributes in here. That's the next thing we need to do. We've come this far. We loop through the items. We grab the button. We click on the button. We check to see if there's an active class on the parent container. And then for each, we loop through the buttons again, or we loop through the items again upon click. We remove the active class. And then we say, if something is not active, add active. Does that make sense? If it is not active, add active. Yeah, that makes sense. be a little, if not active. I think I get it. I think I understand why this creates a toggle. Okay, so now we have to also toggle our aria-expanded, which means that we have to, I think we can just do trigger set attribute aria-expanded to false. And then I think we can do the same thing here. Trigger set attribute aria-expanded true. All right, let's see what happens. Nothing happens. What did I do? Oh, wait a second. Trigger. Oh, it's not defined here. So trigger, we can't just grab trigger from up here. You most likely do not need the second loop of items. This. I think I do. Triggers. Wait a second. Triggers is not defined. Oh, hang on. I accidentally deleted triggers. Hang on. I did need that. There we go. That was my mistake. Should be able to just have item class list remove. Yeah, but that would only be on the thing that on the event listener. Don't we have to go through every single item again and remove it? Well, here we'll try we'll try it. Accordion trigger right here. Okay. Here, I'll try it. So Nano Akia is saying that we most likely don't need the second loop. I think we do, because I think when you click the button, you have to go through all the items again and check to see and check to close the other things, but I'm not sure. Yeah, because we have to go through, and if you only have one open at a time, right? So I think we do, in order to have one open at a time. If it wasn't one open at a time, you would not need it. You could just do toggle. Okay, so let's make sure our attributes. So this is, so now the toggle is working, and we only have one open at a time. Let's make sure that I don't think our attribute's working. Hang on, I got something wrong here. Oh no. I love your suggestions. No apologies necessary. Because I want to make sure I'm covering all my bases too. And I'm always up for a little experimentation. So and Caffeine Cowboy says, would a check of is active make more sense to run first and use toggle there since one item would be active on load? Would a check of is active make more sense to run first before the event listener? Well, the highest it can be is, I mean, that's not, I mean, let's see how it works. Yeah, the toggle is not working. On click, so you have one open and could just close it prior to removing the class from the rest of the buttons. Would a check of is active make more sense to run first and use toggle since one item will be active on load? So on click, so you have one open and could just close it prior to removing the class from the rest of the buttons. So we have to, it doesn't work up here. This is the earliest that you can check. I mean, you don't want to check for a class until we do an event listener. That to me seems to be the only way to be able to have them all closed. Oh, I'm not trying to have them all closed. Yeah, I'm not trying to have them all closed. So okay, so this is a good point. We can go back, I'll explain my rationale here. The reason I decided to make sure the first one is always open is because that is very common where I used to work, where I'm thinking of something in particular, a big web app that we had, where, well, you can have them all closed if you want to. It's just that the first one is always open on page load. We had something very specific that we did that had like 1,000 pages. And all of these pages were built off of a template, and they had these accordions, and the assignment was on page load, the first item is always open by default. That's why I did that. So I'm just thinking back to the things that I've been asked to do in the past. So you can have everything closed if you want to. That's no problem. But this right here, this is active. It can't be higher than the event listener. It's appropriate to put it in the event listener because we're not checking for anything until we're actually clicking a button. Let me move this out of the way. So I think this is right. This makes sense to me. Yeah, and it makes sense to me, the order of how this is all happening. So we got to make sure though that we get our aria-expanded figured out. Because this trigger set attribute, aria-expanded, false. Nightbot doxing Angela. One moment, please. Hold, please. And this is a good point. I'm working and listening, watching in the background. I knew one was open on load. I thought there was still an issue where you couldn't close an open item without opening another item. I think things got a little chaotic there for a second. I think things got a little crazy. I think what was happening is that we couldn't toggle a single item. So we could have one open, we can open another item and have the previous one closed, but we couldn't toggle we couldn't toggle. That's what we couldn't do. So this pattern lets us toggle now. So just goes to show that there's lots of ways to do this, lots of patterns, right? So when I click this, okay, so the aria-expanded is working here. And then if I go down here, what happens? If I click, so this is closing, but the aria-expanded is not going back to false. Did I spell it wrong? I think there's we're just missing a step here so we have to, so it is working. Wait a second. So this is not working. Because the trigger still says true even though it's closed, but it did remove the active class. So it works to toggle, but if I open another one, well, but if this is open, it's true. And then if I do this, it's not removing it. Or it's not changing it back to false. So it changes it back to false when we toggle true, false, active, true, back to false. So if this is open, it just doesn't update that. So, okay, I have to think about this. Why does removing the class work, but setting the attribute not work? Because this is not dependent on this. This isn't dependent on this. It's just looping through. And it works to like toggle it, but it just doesn't remove it like it removes the class. It makes me think that we need an additional check here. But why would you need two? But maybe you do. Is active or is false? Is false equals, oh, get attribute. Trigger, get attribute. Okay, so here's where we are going to use the get attribute. We're going to get the attribute ID, so we're going to get the attribute. And so somebody's asking, is it because it's set to true on top? And no, I don't think so. I don't think so. So I'm going to get the attribute for aria-expanded. Expanded. So I think we need to say if is active and is false is equal to, nope, this is in the wrong place. Hang on, because this is working down here. If is false is equal to true. I don't know. See how it goes. So, yeah, it's still not working. So I know this is working right here. We just can't get the attribute changed. We can remove this class, no problem, but it just won't change the it will when we toggle. So this works to toggle. It just doesn't work to change it when we I might be I might be ready to ask ChatGPT for help with this one. Check for an active class. See, I just don't feel like I have to. Well, we don't want to, I don't think we want to remove the attribute. We just want to set it to false, right? We want aria-expanded to still be there, and it's either true or false. So I feel like we do still need it to be there. But I think that's I think that's a good question. Oh, for testing. Maybe there's just something wrong with this. No, that doesn't work. So this, what is this? Is this the item or the trigger? Yeah. Doesn't like that. I think, well, we made it to day 3, and I'm ready to ask ChatGPT for help. Because the only thing, this almost works. We can toggle aria-expanded when we toggle the item, but we can't get toggle aria-expanded when we open another item and remove the class. Yeah. All right, we made it to day 3. Now we have to ask for help because we're so close and I'm not sure what's wrong. This almost works. Please, I have to tell it, please do not refactor all of my code. I just want help with the set attribute for aria-expanded. When I toggle the panel, it correctly toggles true, false. When I click a new panel, the active class is removed, but the set attribute does not go back to false. You're very close. The issue is just scope on trigger inside your reset loop. Okay. That trigger is the one from the clicked item, so you keep setting the same element over and over. The other triggers never get reset. Minimal fix, no refactor, just correct the target. Grab the trigger for each item inside the loop. So items for each ITM. Okay, and then const t item query selector. Everything else can stay, so it was just scoping. Everything else can stay exactly as you wrote it. Okay, so we just had to scope the trigger correctly to this right here. And Caffeine Cowboy says, and forgive me, I think that you are seeing me on a little bit of a delay. Is it not working because you're working on an item in a for each, but the triggers are still an array and not targeting a single trigger? No, we are targeting a single trigger. It's just the wrong one. It's not scoped correctly. So hopefully you saw me read that out. So, okay, so we want, we're going to say const t, I'm going to say trg equals ITM. Hang on here. What did it say? Const t query selector accordion trigger. And this would be trg, and this would be item, query selector, accordion, trigger. Okay. So now we are, can we just do that? Item query selector accordion trigger set attribute. Okay. There we go. So we just had to scope it correctly. We did it. We did it. I'm fine with this. Okay. Let me see here. There's another comment here that I think I missed. Fran Codebird says, hello, I am new here. Is there a tag HTML to do that accordion without JavaScript? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. You really have to have a click event to add, and I mean, there's more than one way to do it, right? You could use the hidden attribute. We looked at that. You could add and remove classes. You could compare the button to the panel. I think that was the ChatGPT's original intent, when it gave me this little assignment. I'm not aware of a way to make accordions without JavaScript. They require functionality. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and add this. Ooh, this was a lot. I really thought this was going to be a lot easier. It was challenging. But I like it. I'm good with it. So, okay. All right. Let's make sure that we need to get our code in here, and we need to add this to our module list. So let's do that. This is a longer one. I'm going to copy this. And we'll go to our components. I'm going to add this to the page. Here's the accordion panel section. And I'm going to do this again. I just want that inner container, this right here. And then we'll go to our components and we will add the accordion. And then let's go to our accordion page and we'll make sure that works. And it looks like it does. Let's make sure that those attributes are working. They appear to be. Aria-expanded true, active. Yep, that's all working. Good. And we can close it and it goes back to false. Excellent. So now we have our module page. And Nano Kia says the details tag is the closest. The details tag is the closest. I'm not sure what that means. Do you mean the closest method? And Caffeine Cowboy says, gotcha, I just saw the query selector all on the triggers and thought it didn't know what the single trigger was until it was scoped inside the items for each. Although there was definitely a scoping issue. There was definitely a scoping issue. Okay, UI components working. Now we need to make closest you can get to an HTML only accordion. Oh, got it. Details. So let's see here. MDN details. HTML details element. So let's see here. Fran Code Bird, if you are still watching, check out this, the details. See if that works for you. I don't know much about it. Okay, so we have our UI. Let's get back to let's just go ahead and get our code blocks in here and then we can deploy. And we are done for the day. Okay, so we're gonna ask ChatGPT to do some formatting for us, but let's get our containers ready first. So this will be section with the class of section. And then we've got an H2 with the class of secondary heading. And this is the HTML. And then we want our pre and our code block with the language markup. So once we get that code block, that will go there. And then we'll do another section with the class of section. And another H2 secondary heading. And this is the JavaScript. And we need a pre and a code, the class of language JavaScript. All right. Okay. It worked. Can you please format this HTML for my Prism code block? Hopefully it knows how to do it. Here's the cleaned up. Okay, so you have to add the spaces. I thought we already had this conversation. Okay. Thanks. But we also need for indentation. VS Code will flatten this. Okay, but we don't need the BRs. Okay, I'm gonna tell it to stop. Okay, I only want and LT. No need to change everything or use BR tags. Oh my God. Okay, but you forgot the NBSP. But why? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why so many? Oh my God, stop. Why are you indenting so much? environment for NBSP per tab. Okay. Listen, whoever said that AI was replacing developers, this is why this is such an easy question to answer, or such an easy thing to respond to. It's not happening, people. It's not happening, okay? We all know that. You have no idea. Okay, so now we'll do this. Well, we should probably check it, right? So here's our accordions. Here's our text. It fixed. I had a couple of attributes wrong, and it fixed it. So I'm sure I'll take a look at this again later today. What did it fix? I thought I had gotten all a panel. Oh, these right here. I'll fix these. We'll do this. We'll fix it. So, but this looks right. Okay. So let's have it do this next. Okay, I will fix it. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Next, please format the JavaScript. Is that everything? Is it? We'll find out. Yeah, it looks right. So let's fix. So the thing that I missed because I didn't use these attributes is on the buttons there's an ID. I mean, we honestly don't need any of these controls. We don't need any of those controls because I didn't use them. So we're gonna fix that. There's no reason for me to keep something in that I don't actually use. Right? So these panels, I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit so it's easier for me to see. So the aria controls, I think we can just literally grab all of them on the page. also don't need these IDs. So if we just highlight ID equals accordion, I think we can get all of these too. And then ID equals panel. I think we can highlight all of those on the page. So the only aria attribute that we have is aria-expanded. And then we have this role of region for the div. That's appropriate. But we don't need anything else. We don't need those IDs. We don't need those other attributes, those other data attributes, because I didn't use them. And that was intentional. I didn't want to use them. I felt like there was a better way to do it. This is my style. Hopefully you guys can see that this is my style. Doesn't mean that the other way of doing it is wrong or that another approach is wrong. This is just the way I like to do it. So there's that. So, and I should have taken it all out here. It's a little hard to read, but let's just take a look-see. Yeah, this looks great. So we can see all of our markup here. Let's make sure this actually works. It does still work. Let's make sure that our so we can still toggle correctly and the attributes are updating. So if this is open, then we open something else and good. That's going back to false. So let's also fix that on our UI page, our UI components page, and then we're done. We can deploy. Yeah. So let's get down to our accordion. Here we are. So I'm just going to use this method again, aria controls panel. And then ID accordion. So we remove the attributes from our buttons. So now we just need to get rid of these IDs on the panels. And Bob's your uncle. And Malik says, best session so far. It is good seeing the trial and error and thought process. And personally, I'm enjoying it. So I love a good struggle session. And Nano Kia says, the old adage, don't reinvent the wheel. Nothing about how many ways you can make that wheel, though. Totally agree. Totally agree. I just have a different approach to things, right? I mean, my approach is based on the fact that I try really hard to do everything with CSS. So, I feel like that worked in our favor. So, okay. So let's commit, and then we can go ahead and push to our production site. Let's close everything up. I will stare at this for the rest of the day. I have to create more pages today too. I'm behind on that. So right, the details element. Yeah, I put a link to it in the chat. So I think that was Nano Akia's suggestion. Maybe that could work for you. I don't know anything about it, so that could be a good solution. Let's see here. Accordion JS. All right. So let's go ahead and deploy. Oops. All right, so what did we update? I was doing a lot of updates this morning. So, no, we are not link friendly. However, give me 1 second here. I can do this. I can give Nano Akia specifically permission. There we go. One moment here. I'm going to finish deploying and then I'm going to take a look at that. But actually, Nano Akia, if you want to put your link in the chat, you can. I think it'll work. Okay, so components, day 3, and UI components, and I don't remember if we did anything in style.css or not. So let's close everything down. here we go. Here's our HTML. Here's our JavaScript. She's beautiful. And here's our UI components. It could be interesting to play with the timing of the max height, or even just change the height of the max height to see if the timing smooths out a little bit. We could also just change the height to be very close to, I mean, what is the actual height? So the actual height, like 190. So what if we changed it from 1,000 to 250? It would just be, you know, I'm more inclined to change it to like 500 or something, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that right now. The transition could be smoother, but honestly, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So here we have, we have our trigger. Good. So we had the right sentiment. It was just the scoping. That's good. That's good. It was just a scoping issue. So let's see here. Can I highlight this? Yes, I can. CodePen.io. Oh, this is the details. How do you do a click event without JavaScript? Let's go back and look at our link. Okay, so let's look at this a little bit more. The HTML details element interface provides special properties beyond the regular HTML element interface. It also has available to it by inheritance for manipulating details elements. So there's a name and there's open, a string reflecting the name HTML attribute, which allows you to create a group of mutually exclusive details elements. Opening one of the named details elements of this group causes other elements of the groups to close. Okay? A Boolean value reflecting the open HTML attribute indicating whether or not the element's contents, not counting the summary, is to be shown to the user. But how do you do this without so confused. How do you do this without so is it just built in that you can click it and it gets an event? That's crazy. It's all HTML. That's wild. So, Fran, this would appear to be a good solution. Yeah, all built in. Wild. So is there something semantic about the details element or its meaning? Why isn't everybody using details for accordions then? And Malik says, I use that for the user profile drop down on the pastry site. Interesting. I've never heard of it. It doesn't really say anything here about, well, it does say sort of, it gives the example of log chapters as they are opened and closed. But it's not saying much beyond that about the semantic value of details, other than maybe the word details. It's supposed to provide information or details. It was introduced in 2022. It's got wide availability. So, all right, cool. Well, that's that then. What do we think? This was a good one. I enjoyed this one. It was, so I've enjoyed all of them so far. Hang on, what do we got going? What do we have happening here tomorrow? So tomorrow, the modal dialogue. So we've done this before. This is also styled. We got this mostly styled. So this will be a good one too, because there's lots of things here to do. So selecting the dialogue and trigger buttons, open the dialogue with the native method, closing the dialogue with the native method, handling click events for open and close controls. We can handle that. Handling cancel close behavior cleanly, optional body class toggle for page level styling. Yeah, we started working on a lot of that with the CSS. So we will come back tomorrow and continue with our 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who came to hang out, put suggestions in the chat. I appreciate that so much. Do me a favor. If you're new, if you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like the video, subscribe if you're not already. I would appreciate it so much. Tomorrow is going to be day 4 of the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. And that's that. I'm having a blast. Even the struggle sessions, I find it incredibly satisfying. I love the problem solving. I really, really do. So if you enjoy it, come back and hang out with me, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Bye-bye.